Yes, class 6. Yesterday we had done Samudragupta and Chandragupta 1. And now we are going to read about Samudragupta's military campaigns. As you know that Samudragupta, he was a very good ruler. He was a good scholar, a good poet, a musician, a great warrior and tolerant toward all religions. Now, Samudragupta's military campaigns. The Allahabad pillar inscription, it bears a long list of rulers who fought against Samudragupta. In Allahabad, on the pillar inscription, we have got a long list of rulers who fought against Samudragupta, and those who were defeated either had their kingdoms annexed and were forced to pay tribute. Those who were defeated, they had their kingdoms annexed and they were forced to pay tribute. Tribute is fine, and annex means take possession of another country's land. Take possession of another country's land. Samudragupta's direct rule, it extended from Bengal in the east to Delhi in the west and from Himalayas in the north to Kanchipuram in the south. So he had a very vast kingdom. Now after Samudragupta, his son Chandragupta II or Chandragupta Vikramaditya ascended the throne. Samudragupta's son Chandragupta II, he came to the throne in AD 375 and he is also known as Chandragupta Vikramaditya. There are inscriptions about him at Mathura and Sanchi and at the iron pillar at Mehrauli in Delhi, and we come to know about him. There is an inscription about him in Mehrauli on the iron pillar. Now Fa-Hien, a Chinese Buddhist pilgrim and scholar, came to India. Fa-Hien was a pilgrim. Pilgrim is a person who comes to a place on a religious visit. He came to India during the reign of Chandragupta II and he described Chandragupta as a wise, just and benevolent ruler. Benevolent means a kind ruler. He was a wise, he was just, and benevolent means he was a very kind ruler. Now, Chandragupta's achievement, Chandragupta Vikramaditya's achievements. Chandragupta II, he strengthened his position. Chandragupta II, he made his position strong, strengthened his position by giving his daughter in marriage to a Vakataka prince of the northern Deccan. He gave his daughter in marriage to a Vakataka prince of the northern Deccan. With the help of the Vakatakas, Chandragupta defeated the Shakas of Gujarat, Saurashtra and Malwa, and he annexed their territories. Annex means it came into his possession. He thus won control over the busy ports of Broch and Cambay, and he made Ujjain his second capital. Under him, the Guptas reached the peak of their glory, and it was under Chandragupta II, Chandragupta Vikramaditya, that the Guptas reached the peak of their glory. Now, Chandragupta II promoted trade, art and architecture, and he is said to have patronized. Patronized means he is said to have encouraged 9 renowned scholars, poets and artists who were also called the 9 gems or Navratnas. Okay, the 9 scholars and poets who were encouraged by Chandragupta Vikramaditya, they were known as the 9 gems of his court or the Navratnas. The poet Kalidas is said to have been one of them. The famous poet Kalidas is said to have been one of them. In the middle of the 5th century AD, hordes of Central Asian tribes, hordes means a large group of people. Hordes is a large group of people. So, hordes of Central Asian tribes who were called the Huns, they invaded the Gupta Empire and weakened it. They invaded the Gupta Empire and the Gupta Empire became weak. Some of the Huns even settled in Punjab, Kashmir and Malwa, and by the 6th century AD, the Gupta Empire had broken up. All these Huns, they settled in parts of Punjab, Kashmir and Malwa, and by 6th century AD, the Gupta Empire declined. It had broken up into pieces, into fragments. Now, Fa-Hien's accounts. In his accounts of his experience in India, Fa-Hien, the Chinese pilgrim, and in his accounts, his experience of India is, Fa-Hien wrote about Chandragupta II and his kingdom. The capital Patliputra had stately palaces and buildings. Stately means very big, very huge, very grand. Roads were very well maintained, safe and comfortable. Laws were simple and punishments were not too severe. Punishments were not too hard. The people were law-abiding. Law-abiding means the people followed the law. They were honest. However, Fahane lamented the neglect of the Buddhist places of worship at Bodh Gaya, Kushinagar and Kapilvastu. So according to Fahane, the Buddhist places of worship during the Gupta rule, they were neglected. Now, what was the administration under the Guptas? The Gupta rulers assumed very high-sounding titles and they performed Rajsoya and Ashwamedha sacrifices. The king was assisted by a council of ministers which was called the Mantri Parishad. The ministers were highly paid officials who sometimes even led the armies during wars. Now the ministers, they were paid a very high salary, and during wartime these ministers, they also led the war. They led the armies. In later periods, they were granted land instead of cash salaries, and at times they were also given lots of land in place of the cash salaries. In due course, they acquired a lot of land and thus became quite powerful. So in some time, this council of ministers, they acquired lots of land and they became very, very powerful. Now we have the provincial administration and the local administration under this administration under the Guptas. So the provincial administration comes first. The empire was divided into provinces which were called Bhuktis. The empire during the Gupta rulers was divided into provinces which were called Bhuktis and under governors called Uparikas. The governors were called Uparikas. The provinces were further divided into districts which were called Vishyas and under Vishyapatis. The provinces, they were further divided into districts called Vishyas and these were under Vishyapatis. The districts were divided into villages. These districts, they were divided into villages and the Uparikas were assisted by officials called Kumar Matyas. The Uparikas, that is the governors, the provinces, they were appointed and the districts were divided into villages and the Uparikas were assisted. The Uparikas, they were assisted by officials who were the Uparikas? The governors. Okay. So the Uparikas, they were assisted by officials who were called the Kumar Matyas at that time. The Kumar Matyas acted as a link. These Kumar Matyas, they were a link between the provinces and the districts. Local administration. A council of village elders, headed by the village headman administered the village. This is the local administration. And a city was administered by a council consisting of the head of the city corporation, representatives of the various guilds of merchants, artisans, and the chief scribe. Now, guilds is, what is a guild? Guilds of merchants means an association of people who do the same work. An association of people who do the same work or have the same interest. And scribe is a person who copies documents. A scribe, chief scribe means a scribe is a person who copies documents. Now, what kind of life the people had during this time and what was the condition of the women? The main occupation of the people was agriculture in the Gupta age, and the caste system had become very rigid. It means it had become very strict, and a number of sub-castes had come into existence. Small sub-castes had also come into existence. The Chandalas or untouchables lived outside the city. You can say the Chandalas or untouchables, the people who were considered inferior. The fourth class, they lived outside the city. Now, the position of women. Women were not permitted to participate in social and political activities and they were not given formal education. Okay, so they were not respected at that time. Early marriage was the accepted social norm for girls. At a very early age, the girls used to get married. Women were not entitled to property. They were not given property from their father's side, except in the form of jewelry or stridhan received at the time of marriage. Many restrictions were imposed on widows. A widow could be forced to become a sati by burning herself on the funeral pyre of her husband. This was a very sad social practice, children. With the husband, the lady was burnt on the funeral pyre of the husband. Of course, now it is not prevalent these days and it had come to an end. But at that time, during the Gupta age, this was a very sad state of affairs, and the ladies, they did not hold a very high position in society, and they had many restrictions and they led a very difficult life. And education was also not given to them and they were not entitled to property. So I hope you have understood this. Then I will be sending the third part of the chapter, as it is a big chapter and I can't be doing all the parts together. You will not even find it interesting. You will not like to see the video also. So in short, you can understand it nicely and go through it again and again. So third part I will be sending after some time. Please go through this video and you will understand the chapter. Bye bye children, and take care.